So if you're like me, you spend a lot of time live streaming events. And when you're doing an event, it's important that your setup is smooth and efficient as possible. And that's why on today's video, we're going to talk about the ultimate live streaming cart. Let's start off with the basics. I want to show you all the gear and equipment that I use for live streaming an event. This could be a presentation or a wedding or anything like that. And I also want to mention that I'm going to include links in the description down below to everything that we talk about. So all the links will be in the description, so be sure to check that out. So the first thing we need to talk about is right here, the cart. We're going to kind of slowly build up with all of our equipment, and I'm going to share a few different scenarios to make sure you have everything you need for your cart. I want to also give a big shout out to the hdmi microphone channel. They were actually the ones who kind of inspired this. I saw a sound cart equipment video, so I was able to find this cart and I really love it. This cart here is, I'm going to have a link in the description, but it's the Olympia one, and it is actually, the reason I love it is because it is a folding cart. So it folds down nice and easy, so it makes for easy transportation. I can throw this in the trunk of my car. It's super easy. So this one is actually the 300-pound one. They've got a smaller one, 150-pound one. I got that one originally because it was going to be a little easier to throw in the car. I could just throw that one in the back seat. But then I found it wasn't quite big enough for all the gear that I have. Plus it was a little shorter and I wanted something that I could stand behind and do all the switching and everything. So that's where this one came along. And again, it's an amazing cart. Just kind of locks in place. Strong enough, sturdy enough, has really nice wheels on it too. Also, the wheels do have a great locking mechanism, 2 of the wheels do. So it's really easy to lock this into place so that cart is not gonna move anywhere. So highly recommend checking out this cart. So the first thing we need to talk about for our cart is the computer. I have this Alienware laptop, really like it. It allows me to be very flexible in where I set up for live streaming events. It makes for easy travel, and honestly, all this computer does is run live streams. I have nothing else on there. It's just purely for live streaming, and the software I'm using is vMix. So that's gonna go here on this spot on the cart. I found that I like it over on this side, and that just works out well. So Alienware laptop running vMix for my switching software. So now let's connect the camera. I'm gonna start out with an HDMI camera. Normally I use the EOS R. I really like the image quality I get from that. It's a great camera in general, usually one that I have for taking any sort of B-roll. I am using that right now to film this, so we're not gonna be connecting that one directly. But another great option is this Canon XA10. These are older cameras. You can usually find them for fairly cheap on Amazon. So I highly recommend, if you're just getting started, to check out one of these. Especially if you're getting started, it also allows you to connect XLR cables directly into there, which could be good and could be useful for the situation that you're in. But we're gonna connect this HDMI camera to the computer now. And so with HDMI, the thing to realize is you're gonna want, especially at these event streams, you're gonna want a decent amount of cable. I believe this one that I have here is 25 feet of cable, which is a nice, good length for HDMI. You're not gonna wanna go too far with HDMI. I would say if you get 50 feet, you're probably pushing it. They can go a little further, but you start to lose some quality. So I'd stick between that 25 to 50 foot range for your cable there. So we'll get that connected in a second. But the capture card I am going to use for this is the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder. This is one I got a long time ago. It was one of the first capture cards I got. Still works really well. I also recommend checking out Magwell capture cards. I have one of their SDI capture cards that works really well. Like no issues with it, and I do have some issues and some things I have to kind of work around sometimes with the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder. So maybe look at a Magwell HDMI capture card if you're just getting started in purchasing your capture cards. And so for this, we have the Thunderbolt adapters in order to go into this computer. So let's start putting this together. And what's going to happen here? So if we spin our card around, what's going to happen here is I am going to connect this to the back Thunderbolt connector, and we're going to run it down here like so, and put it here on the second level right there. Now what you're going to notice is I like to, and right now it's not a huge deal because we only have one cable running off there, but I like to take one of these red cable ties. Again, I'll have links to everything in the description, including these, and wrap it around the cable up here. This is gonna help with just my general cable management. And then I have the capture card down here. You can kind of depend how you wanna situate it. And once you get more cables and things connected here, you can often get a little bit extra length just so your card sits flat. I like to have that sitting flat. And then we have our HDMI cable, which we are gonna run up the back of the cart here. So I'm gonna put all the extra over here so it's kind of out of our way. And we are going to run it up through this part of the cart. And you're gonna notice right here, and then plug it in, and you are going to notice that I have these quick fasts here on the cart. This is purely for cable management. And again, right now with one cable, it's not a big deal. You could just get more of these red ties and strap it to the side here. But I want to make sure that the cables are all neat and nice and tidy, especially if this cart is going to be moving around. There's some events where we'll move from shot location to shot location. So I need to be able to move the stream during that time, need to be able to move the cart around during that time in a nice, efficient way. So that's why I got these quick, fast connectors here, just drilled into the plastic and put a screw there. I will eventually be getting better screws because there's a little bit that sticks out here, and I want to get some bolts that are just going to bolt on and they're more appropriate for this setup. But that's what we're going to do is kind of run this here so our cables are out of the way, and then all we have to do is connect the camera to the HDMI cable. All right, so now we have a computer and a camera. It is now time to add some audio. So the way we're gonna connect our audio is we're gonna use the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I love this interface, it works really well. They make a few different options where you can add extra microphones, but this is the one that's going to allow you to add 2 different microphones. So this is honestly the perfect solution if you need 1 or 2 microphones. It allows you to take any high quality XLR cable or XLR microphone and put it into your computer through the USB. So we're gonna put the Focusrite down here at the bottom. And let's spin this around again. So Focusrite is on the second level, and now it's time to grab our microphone. I recommend, so my favorite microphones, the ones that I've been using a lot, are the Audio-Technica System 10s. I've had very little interference issues with them, where in the past I have had some issues with other microphones when it comes to interference. Rode is also a really solid one. I have had very little issues with that, but I have had some interference issues. Again, just my personal experience. And that's usually after we start adding multiple microphones and multiple different elements. When the cart gets fuller, which you'll see here in a little second, that's when I usually start to have some issues with those Rode microphones. So I like the System 10s. I'm gonna recommend your first one be a handheld, especially if you're only going for one. This just allows you a lot of flexibility in terms of being able to pass the microphone to different people, or being able to do more with less, really what it comes down to. So recommend the handheld System 10 microphone, but then also look at the lavalier microphone. That's actually what we're recording on right now to the EOS R. This main video, I'm using the System 10 lavalier microphone. So let's build that and get that in here in the kit. And these are actually the camera mount System 10. So they have a few different kinds. If you know you're just gonna be using the cart here, I'd maybe look at getting the rack mounted ones. Those look really awesome. Those are kind of gonna be, as I continue to expand with the number of microphones, I'm gonna be getting more of those, but I wanted to have a couple camera mounted System 10s just so I could use that when recording actual videos, or just gives me more flexibility. Because the nice things about the System 10s is that the actual receiver is very slim, very easy, and it can easily fit on your cart without much issues. And then what it comes with is this little mount adapter here that it has a hot shoe or a cold shoe mount that just can go on top of your camera. So it makes it very versatile. And so for our cart, we're just gonna be using this piece right here and not using the camera mount. And so we're gonna plug the cable in here. And then the one thing you will need to get, especially when you're using the Focusrite, is you will need to get a little adapter here to turn it from the 3.5 millimeter plug into an XLR plug. So that's what we're gonna be using here with the Focusrite. And I just plug it in there, have that sitting in front, and then we are good to go and ready to use our handheld microphone. And I like to keep the mics down here on the second level. That way the main pieces of audio are right there, sitting in there on that second level of your cart. All right, our cart is really starting to come together, but we're by no means done there. Kind of that next piece that you're gonna wanna think about is you're gonna wanna make sure that you can monitor your audio to make sure that there's no issues, especially if you start adding music or things like that. You're gonna wanna be making sure that it sounds good. So we need to add some headphones. For me, the ones I usually use are the Bose. This is their noise canceling headphones, the Quiet Comfort, whatever it is. I'll again link in the description below. So these are wireless, but because of the setup that we have, just the way it works here, I'm not gonna be using them wirelessly. So I'm gonna plug in their little wired adapter here. And now you notice I wanna plug these headphones into the Focusrite, actually is where I would like to have this come through. So in order to do that, because it's on our second level, I'm gonna need a little adapter here. And again, you're gonna notice theme through all this, especially as we get more complicated, cable management using these red bungee ties. They're amazing. So this is just a very simple little adapter, a little extender. Allows me to plug the quarter cable into the Focusrite, and then I'm able to plug the headphone jack here into that, and it allows me to be further away from the cart. So now I'm able to have the headphones on and monitor this the entire time. Because I very rarely need to be this far from the actual cart, I will kind of bundle up the extender cable here. I do need to be this far away, like when I'm in the studio. I actually use this same cable extender in my studio. So I'm gonna bundle it up. I'm going to wrap it up, place it on top of the Focusrite, and then I replug back in here. And I like to send it out the side of the cart here like so. So that way I still have some room to kind of move away and get away from the cart and can still hear everything. But then I also, when I am not using it, I can place it down here. I'll adjust this cable sometimes to see how long I want that, but I'll just kind of set that there and I'll let the headphones live right here on the handle of the cart. So that really covers the entire audio piece. So now we have cameras, now we have the computer, we have audio ready to go. So this is a very nice kind of starting kit, but this is not where I would recommend ending your initial kit. I like to always include X keys. So X keys is great. This is basically a way to interact with vMix in a very quick fashion where you can just switch different cameras, bring in lower thirds. You can create any sort of action here using these keys. They're kind of hot keys. They're shortcuts is what they're called, but they allow you to trigger all kinds of actions to happen on the computer here, which is really great. So again, I actually have found that we'll be doing all kinds of cable management in the back, but I've found that I like to have my X keys on the left side here of the computer, and that'll be a little more clear as we continue to build this out. So now you have your X key ready to go, ready to rock, so you're gonna be able to quickly use those shortcuts, bring in lower thirds, switch cameras, all with the press of one single button. But the next thing I would add is I like to add up here on the top, I have a small iPad mini. This is one of the original iPad minis. All this does for me is this will sit up here like so, and it will run vMix Social. So what vMix Social is allows you to bring in comments from your stream. So if somebody's making a comment on Facebook, you can bring that across screen so everybody can see it. Really love the software, really happy that vMix has that. And I like to use a completely separate screen, that little iPad mini right here, and I just place it right there, and then you just queue it up from the iPad mini. And on a bigger production, if you have extra people there, this will allow you to easily hand this iPad off to someone, and you can just tell them, hey, if you want to throw a comment or a question across the screen, all you have to do is use this. So it's really nice and versatile and easy to quickly hand off in the middle of a stream, which is why I like to use it on the iPad. It just makes managing all of those comments super smooth and super simple. The other thing I would also do here, if I didn't have the iPad mini or weren't using that for some reason, maybe it's a private stream, maybe we needed to give the talent the iPad in order to manage comments, I will usually place a phone there or something else there to monitor the live stream. So that's also a good spot right there because it's very much in your eye line, so you can see if there's any issues at all with your live stream. So that's something to consider. Or you could also even do both ways. You can kind of turn the iPad mini. You have less real estate to read the comments, but you could still have the iPad mini turned and your phone sitting right next to it in order to monitor the stream that way. And there you have it. That is really the basic setup that I would use for a live streaming cart. If you're doing just a simple live streaming situation, this is a great little cart. This is the setup that I would use, and it's a really good one if you're just getting started with live streaming events. But now let's run through a few different scenarios and the modifications I would make to the cart in order to handle those scenarios that you might face when live streaming an event. So the first one I want to talk about is what if you need to live stream a longer event? What if this event is, a couple hours, or you got to set up early in the morning and you're not going to be live streaming it until later in the day or something like that? What if you're just going to be on site for a long period of time? Well, then you're going to need to get power to your laptop, because the last thing you want is for your laptop to die midstream. That would be horrible. So here's what we do for powering up this cart. All right, to get power to your laptop, you're gonna need a couple things. The first is going to be, of course, your laptop charger. Probably guessed that already. But then we're going to actually go with a power strip, just because while we add stuff to the cart, we might as well make sure we're adding stuff that's gonna help us with other modifications or as we continue to upgrade the cart. We wanna make sure we're adding smart things. And then you're gonna want just your normal power cord, so your extension cord. So we have that. And what I'm gonna recommend you do is actually take your power strip here and get some Velcro. So I have the Velcro with the soft side, and I did it the entire length of this power strip here. And then down at the bottom, I took the other side of the Velcro, the one with the hooks, and we added that to this leg right here, the exact same length of the power strip. So now all I have to do is Velcro our power strip right there, and then this is gonna help, again, manage everything, make sure you have a nice, neat cabling, and it just makes everything easier. Plus, it's going to, because you could easily throw the power strip, right now we could easily throw the power strip on the bottom, bottom layer here, a bottom rack here. But as you upgrade again, that's gonna end up being a kind of a crazy mess. So we wanna get it here so it's nice and contained and off the cart. And then of course we just have our power cord here. And one thing I'm going to recommend as well, I don't have a link for these. I'll see if I can find one because I got these with a light kit, I believe. But these are reusable zip ties. Really like these for bigger items where the red bungee cables just aren't gonna work as well. We're gonna plug in our power strip. Now our power strip is plugged in, and then all I'm gonna do is take the cord for our laptop, and I am actually going to I'm gonna undo both of these for now, and I'm gonna place this power brick right here on the second level, because I want only the bare minimum stuff up there on that top level. And then we're gonna run and plug in our computer right here. And then, as you know by now, we're gonna take and do some great cable management. And what you're gonna wanna do is also, I highly recommend always running cables on the inside of any of the metal pieces or any of the legs, just to help keep the cart a little more contained so you don't have wires dangling all over the place. And then I'm gonna run this wire here into the top, quick fist. And this one I am going to definitely I would normally be shortening this up, but what I'm gonna do first is we're gonna also run it into the top here. And the reason I like these quick fists is because you don't have to fully run it through, you can just open it up. And just from experience, I'm gonna plug it into the second part of our power strip, and that'll be clear as we continue to make modifications to this cart. And then I'm just going to kind of bundle this all together so it can be in one nice, neat little package. And there you have it. We have our power cable. Our cart now officially has power to it. So now you're able to live stream all day long. And then with that extension cord, it's going to allow you to get some distance, be able to move around. And so you're not necessarily constrained by being right next to an outlet. All right, now to our next scenario. What if the Wi-Fi is bad? Well, then you just pack up, head home because you can't stream. Not so fast. Hey, just want to break in here and say, hopefully you're enjoying the video. If you are, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm working really hard to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can join the partner program here on YouTube and be able to spend more time making videos for you just like this one. So if you enjoy what you're seeing and want to help out the channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe and share the video with more people. And now, back to the video. When you're worried about your internet signal, look no further than our friend, the LiveView Solo. This device is awesome. I love this. This is actually one of the key things that allows me to stream where honestly most people can't. Because what this little box does, it combines several different signals to give you a more powerful stream. So what you're gonna be able to do with this is take up to 2 USB modems. You can take a Wi-Fi signal, and you can even plug in an Ethernet signal, an Ethernet cable, and combine all of those different pieces of internet together to create a really strong signal that will almost guarantee that you're going to be able to stream no matter where you are. I've been in concrete expo buildings that are filled with people and was still able to stream. I've been out in the middle of nowhere in cornfields and wilderness and still able to stream. So these are going to be super solid. So let's talk about the way I set this up. First, the key piece again is going to be the LiveView Solo. And I like to use unlimited IRL in order to get my different cellular signals. So I have a Nighthawk from them that I use as a USB modem that's AT&T. And then I also have a Verizon one. This one's from my own personal plan, but that also works really well. So both of those get connected to the live view, and those are kind of the two main ones that I have. I also do have a T-Mobile if I happen to need that, if I need a third one somewhere, or if one of these two just simply isn't working, I have that as a third option. But then of course you can get other ones as well. So I highly recommend checking out Live View as well as Unlimited IRL. And again, all the links are going to be in the description below. So what we're going to do here with the live view is I actually have this, because you're only going to really need to use it once. You're going to need to click the start button to power that on. Is I place this down at the bottom, kind of out of the way as much as possible. And now we're just going to connect the modems. So the Nighthawk, again, I'm using this as a USB modem so that if I am in a location that does have some sort of Wi-Fi, I can connect to that. But you also could use the Nighthawk here as your Wi-Fi signal and connect to the AT&T signal that way. So we're gonna take this, and our live view is going to live down here, and I'm going to plug in the USB on this side to the live view, and I'd probably adjust that so it fits a little nicer, but that works for now. And then I take the Verizon one that I have here, and I'm plugging that in right there. So we have those two connected, ready to go. But now we need to connect the live view to the computer, because the way the live view works is it is basically another display. So that's really how you're accomplishing this, is the live view turns into another display. So we're going to take an HDMI cable, and we plug that underneath the Verizon one right here. So then I just need to manage this cable and plug it in to our computer. So we're going to run it through here. And I always forget how much. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have enough cable here. We're going to run it underneath this one, so at least I'm behind and kind of contained there. And this is where sometimes you need to adjust the actual placement of the computer. So a lot of times I won't lock these cables down until I get everything built out for the streaming kit for that day. So I'm going to tie the cables here with the bungee cord. So they're all together there. And we put the one into the quick fist. And then I think we just barely have enough to add this right here. And that just is going to keep it extra manageable and nice that way. But now, again, streaming long time, you're going to need to plug in your live view unit as well. It does have a battery. It will run for a while. It has a pretty solid battery, actually. You're going to get a decent amount of time. But because we added the power strip, we have the flexibility to easily add power to our live view unit. So I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that. So now with the live view unit fully set up, weak internet won't stop you anymore. And just one side note, I haven't really done it yet with any of this equipment here, just because I am testing out a few different variations, still kind of adjusting, feel like my cart is still adjusting. But one thing you can do is start to, when you feel more established with your setup, with your layout, is actually place some Velcro for these different devices on your cart. So like I could easily, for the charging cables, for example, for the charging bricks, have Velcro right where I want them to be. So I just Velcro them in, and I know the exact spot, so it's at the right length, and then it can quickly, easily manage the cables, and everything would be set and ready to go there. Hey, so Future Nick here, and one thing I forgot to mention was that what I'll do is when I start to get things positioned and laid out on the cart is actually take some gaff tape and write what that item is, say computer, joystick, iPad, Focusrite, whatever it may be, and actually put just one strip of tape down, of gaff tape, right there on the cart. That way I kind of know immediately when we get to a location what I should be laying out on the cart and where each piece should go. All right, so now that you're starting to feel comfortable with some basic streaming, now it's time to add a second camera. And not just any second camera. I'm going to highly recommend that for your next camera, for your second camera, you get something that's gonna allow you to have lots of different flexibility with the shots that you're getting and the shots that you're using. So I'm gonna recommend that you go for a PTZ camera. That's a pan tilt zoom camera. Basically what that means is this is one camera that's gonna allow you to have several different shots because you can remotely pan, tilt, and zoom that camera. And I specifically really love the PTZ Optics camera. So I'm gonna recommend that you jump to the PTZ Optics camera. This is a great camera, and specifically go for the SDI version. What that's gonna allow you to do is to have SDI is gonna allow you to have longer cabling than a simple HDMI does. So this is gonna give you even more flexibility in terms of camera positions and where you can be with your live streaming setup. So we're gonna connect this PTZ Optics camera to our streaming system. So with this camera, this is where we're gonna bring in my, probably my favorite capture card, which is the Magewell capture cards. Again, for our other camera, we have the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder. Great capture card, has a little bit of issues, a little bit of management that it just requires, where the Magewell simply works for me. But this again is their USB to SDMI capture card. So it's not gonna work with a Canon camera or anything like that unless it has those SDI inputs. So what we're gonna do is let's connect this capture card. So on our cart, the Magewell card here has USB. So we're going to place that. I want, again, the capture card to live on the second level, but it needs to, of course, be connected to the computer. So we're connecting here over on the side. And honestly, this would probably be one of the things I connect first. Again, like I mentioned in this video, we're kind of connecting things a little bit out of order just to show you a little more of what the actual levels are in terms of building your gear and your equipment. But when I would connect the cart at the beginning of, say, a stream, I'm probably connecting all of the cameras first and getting those set and those cabling laid out in a little neater order than I would be right now. So I have, and this is another one that I have not yet Velcroed, but it's probably gonna be Velcroed very soon. So let's take our little cable tie here, and we're gonna, again, bungee cord all of this stuff together. And you see, even as we do, you can even see right here how this could quickly become a mess if you weren't trying to do any sort of management. It even, honestly, now it kind of looks like a mess, but this is with a little bit more management of our cable, so it just keeps everything from going completely crazy, which could easily happen with your cart if you weren't paying attention to these things. So again, eventually I'm gonna probably Velcro this to one of the legs of the cart here, to kind of, because the USB cable isn't quite long enough to let it rest nicely. And then I just have the SDI piece right here. And now we're gonna take our SDI cable. We're gonna get a little bit here so I have something to work with. And then the rest of that will be plugged into our camera. And then we're gonna go up through the well, again, you don't need to thread these, but we're going to go and put this right into the quick fist there and right into this quick fist here. And then all you have to do is connect. The other piece I like about the Magewell is that it gives you that extra little bit of room for your connecting your cable. It just allows a little more flexibility with the way those are connected. And let's lock this down just a little bit here, just so things aren't going too crazy. And there you have it, our camera is now connected. But we're not gonna stop there just yet, because a big reason we got this camera is so that we could have all those different views. We can move it around. And now you can use a remote. It comes with a remote that you can definitely use to adjust the camera. But again, that's gonna be a little more limited, and you need to make sure you have good line of sight for that remote. And it's just a little slower and more imprecise. But that's why we got and are going to add our HuddleCam joystick. This is a really great joystick for that PTZ camera. It's made by PTZ Optics, so it works really well with their camera. So let's add that to our cart right now. So being able to add this joystick to the cart and have a nice easy way to access it and just use this joystick was honestly a big reason why I did make the jump to the bigger cart from that smaller one. I could make it work on the smaller one if I kind of forced it, but it was just not very ergonomic and just kind of a pain. So that's a big reason why I jumped up to this larger cart. And you're gonna notice it still doesn't fit perfectly, but where I place the joystick here is actually right here. So it does kind of sit on the computer. It's here, and then I took, these are just little, at least for now, little moving or like furniture pads that I just stuck a bunch of them together to prop up this joystick. So the way I have the joystick set up here is I wanted it on this side, I want to be able to use the joystick with my right hand so I can move the camera around anywhere. So it is setting on the computer slightly. I have that little prop up there to help make it nice and stable. And this allows me to move the joystick around. With the joystick, you're also able to set up different camera positions as presets, which I really love. So you can just tap 1, 2 through really 10 spots you get at least. I never end up using nearly that many, but just because it's hard to keep track of. But it allows you to do all kinds of different presets right there, which is really awesome. And then I can still have full control of the X keys, which are usually the quick actions that I need to do, like throw a specific lower third, like the host name, or a specific call to action, or switch to the second camera. All that is here on my left hand, which allows for quick, easy management of the entire stream. And then of course I still have access to everything else through the touchpad here on the computer. So that's how I kind of like to set up the overall streaming layout, the management of the stream, if you will. But okay, now we have the stream, or now we have the joystick set up there. Now it's time to add those elements and because there's a few things you need to connect here. So let's do all the cable management again. Hashtag cable management. This is why I kept this top spot open, is because the power adapter. The reason I kept the top spot open here on the power strip is because I knew the power adapter for the joystick is kind of large. So I wanted to be able to put that right there. And again, we're gonna run this behind all of the other cabling so it's not interfering. And just because of the length of it, we're gonna plug it in here. And this is where now you can kind of see how this is gonna flow through. I will actually go ahead and run this through the Quick Fist. So we're going to open that up, add that in there just to help keep control of that. I'm going to leave it open, and I'm not going to connect that just yet because we have one more cable that we need to add to this. So the joystick is a wired device, so it needs to connect to the camera. So I have our cable here, and this is the one that plugs directly into the camera. So you'll need that for the camera, but then I bought another 50-foot, 100-foot, I forget how long it is, to be honest, but I bought another cable right here. And so we're gonna connect that to the joystick. And then once we connect it to the camera, we're able to fully control the camera with our joystick. Now, this is a super solid kit, and honestly, this is going to work for most situations. But what if you need to have a lot of people on camera, or you're gonna have multiple different presenters and people speaking, and you just simply need more microphones? Well, let's jump into that. So the Focusrite 2i2 is awesome for up to 2 microphones. Once you get beyond that, it's just not gonna work. Now, I highly recommend trying to always minimize the amount of extra stuff that you have during your stream. Try to simplify your stream as much as possible, but sometimes you're going to need multiple microphones. And so you could also get a different Focusrite. They make others that allow more microphones. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna add something extra special, and that is the Behringer X-Air 12. So this is a 12 microphone system that allows you basically to use an iPad as your mixer, and so it's super awesome. I really love this device, so we're gonna add that here to our streaming setup, which will allow us to get up to 12 different microphones, plus we can have different outputs as well, and it's just super awesome, and I really love this system. So let's add that to the cart. So I have a space down here at the bottom of the cart for the X-Air 12. And this is, again, this is kind of just my favorite spot. I like to have things separated on the cart by use and just how often you need to touch them and just how often, and just kind of at different levels so that things can work out really well. And basically once the X-Air is set up, the mic's plugged in, things like that, you're not gonna really need to mess with it. So that's why it's gonna go on the bottom here. And the very first thing I'm going to connect is we're gonna take the System 10. I have if you remember, I have the handheld connected here to the Focusrite. We're gonna take that and we're gonna replace that cable with a short XLR cable. It's gonna plug into the Focusrite, and then it's going to go into one of our outputs here for the X-Air. I don't know why I can't say that today. Next thing you need to do is that this is another reason, so this microphone setup needs to be powered. The X-Air needs power running to it, so that's the only way you're gonna be able to use that is if you're gonna be able to connect to power in some way, shape, or form. For the Focusrite, that doesn't need power, it can run off the computer. But when you jump to this level, you're going to need this power adapter here. You're gonna need power, so let's plug this in. And I'm gonna go into the X-Air, and then we are gonna take our stuff here. I'm just gonna tie this together with the cable tie and put it here in the fist grip, the quick fist. Now, the way the X-Air works is it creates an internet connection with an iPad or a similar tablet like that. So it does have a built-in router to create kind of that, but I found that that is not necessarily the most effective. So I always add my own router. This is not connected to the internet in any way, shape, or form. We're just connecting it to allow the mixer to talk to the iPad so we can control the volume of the mics. And then you're gonna be able to control volume, do all kinds of EQs. Basically, you full control over these microphones like you would for a high-end mixer, which is why I love this setup. So we're gonna place the router right here. Eventually, this is another item that I will probably connect, maybe attach the top here, Velcro it up, just because that's gonna help keep it out of the way. But for now, I wanna keep it here. So again, we're gonna just continue to attach power. Then you need to connect to the router to the X-Air. And I have just long enough cable to go from this position where the router is connected into the fourth internet connection there, and then wrap it around, and then you have the little piece here. You can bring it around and connect right there. I could even do that without looking at it. That's pretty impressive. All right, so that is in terms of connecting everything. So now what you need to do is start adding your microphones. And again, I'd only use the X-Air if you're doing at least 3 microphones, or you might need 3 microphones. So we're gonna add the handheld. I would normally add the lavalier as well. For today, I have kind of another wireless one that I recommend. This is the Rode Wireless Filmmaker Kit. One caveat, I have been getting a little bit of interference with this. It's only happened probably 2-3 times, and was in a full system and lots of other things going on, lots of other people connecting to the internet or streaming. But I have had a little bit of an issue, and I haven't been able to determine what it was yet, was yet, if it's due to being too close to something or what. So for now, that's the caveat. Otherwise, I really like this microphone. It gives great sound, but just something to note. In fact, I actually have another System 10 arriving today, just so I have another wireless lav that I can use. So that'll be arriving any minute now. I could even hear it knock at the door while we're shooting this video. So there you go. I now have 2 mics connected. And again, I keep all the audio right here, just because I want super quick access. If we need to switch out all of the audio, all the mics, I should say, are right here, housed right here, just for quick, easy access. And again, normally I would have a third one. If I'm gonna be using this setup, I would have at least another third wireless one, which would be the System 10 Lav, which I have another one coming today, but the other one I am using on this camera right now. The other thing I would normally do with this setup, because especially if we're having multiple wireless mics, those tend to be the things that will fail the most often, or have some issues the most often. So I will usually always bring a backup wired mic. Now, the XAir 12 is going to allow you to have multiple more microphones if you would like them. So you can definitely go beyond the number of mics we have here, but I always bring a wired microphone as well, and I will keep that as kind of backup right there on the cart, and then I will usually take the XLR cable, and usually it's going to depend on the situation, but this one's like a 25-foot cable. I will attach that right here to the side of the cart, so I know exactly where it is whenever I'm going to need it. And then you're going to notice right here, like I mentioned, that XAir uses an iPad to kind of run. So what I will do is take my iPad. So I'll place my iPad there so I have easy access to it during the stream. I can easily make those adjustments, mute the microphone, unmute the microphone, because again, we're running through just one of the Focusrites, which that is always set up to have a mute button, so I can quickly mute and unmute that through audio channel 1. But because the mixer is basically taking all of that and putting it into the Focusrite, I don't have access to mute those individually from there, so I have to use the iPad in order to mute and unmute in that way. And then it allows me to quickly adjust any of the gains or any of the other settings in a very easily accessible spot, which is right there on that second shelf in the cart. Now, the one other piece that we didn't mention before is when you are using the Live U, you're going to have to send the audio through the HDMI cable that is plugged in to the Live U unit. That means that if you want to, say, hear the stream, you would need to switch to the Focusrite, but then when you switch to the HDMI cable, you're going to lose that ability to hear what the stream sounds like. But when you add in the mixer, that gives you that ability back again. So what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna actually need to unplug from the Focusrite your headphones. And then there is a headphone jack here on the bottom of the mixer, here on the far side of the mixer. There's a volume control right there, so you can control the volume running to your headphones. But now I have full access to being able to hear the entire stream, to hear all the audio coming from the microphones right there on the mixer, which is really awesome and really great. Well, and there you have it. You are ready for just about any scenario that can possibly be thrown at you with one well-designed live streaming cart. And I want to know from you what's missing from this cart. What other scenarios might happen in a live event that this cart is not quite yet prepared for? What do you think should be added? Leave a comment letting me know what you think is missing, and I definitely will let you know as things evolve, and that as this cart continues to adapt, I'll be sure to create new videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more content like this as we dive into how to take your live streaming game to that next level, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.